Hey guys, welcome back. As always, my name is TechZar, and today we're going to be taking a look at a gimbal, a free access gimbal, the Smooth 5S. Now the Smooth 5S comes in a couple of different packages that you can purchase. It comes in a complete package or a combo package, the one which I purchased, that comes with a carrying case and a couple of additional accessories. The main difference between the 5 and the 5S is this puppy right here. You're looking at a light. Yes, and this light was the main selling point to me because it's going to be helping a whole lot with low light filming and photography. Not only that, if you get the combo pack in the package, you also get one additional fill light, which is fantastic, and this one can plop on right on top. It's a magnetic attachment and it's going to be fed by the internal battery of the Zhiyun 5S. Not only that, if you want to, what you can do is buy one additional fill light and put it on the bottom. And that way you're gonna have free. The one which is built in, essentially, let's put it like this so you can see it a bit better. Essentially this one should be the other way around. And you can have one additional one on the bottom as well. And one of these directly from their website is about 30 USD. Of course, you gotta factor in the regional difference in currency and shipping costs as well. Now, this is all well and good, but I bet you wanna see what came in the box. We're gonna be getting the biggest knife we can find. Please be careful, don't cut yourself, and we're gonna be cutting the seal. The seal is broken. Now we can finally open the box, and it looks like it wants to be opened like this. Ta-da! So the first thing that greets you is essentially this carrying pouch and a whole bunch of information that we should gently and very carefully read. Keep in mind that these gimbals can be complicated at times to operate. This is a quick look at the manuals that come in the box. You even get a service card. We're gonna put that off to the side and take a look at the actual carrying case. So the carrying case, very nice, nothing else inside the box. The box is now firmly empty. And this is how the carrying case looks. And I do say, guys, that's actually pretty good. The quality of the zipper seems pretty good. It's a nice and firm handle on the back. And of course, we're gonna pop this bad boy right open. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even notice. This is a little secret thing. You can store something in here, or you can simply use this pouch. There's nothing in here. There's nothing in here, but you know what? You can take your information, and I think you can slide it in here. And this is the packaging, and I gotta say, I love the carrying case. The carrying case, by all intents and purposes, is done pretty well. You also got a little holographic something. You got a card up in here. Now this card offers you a code, and this code you can use to unlock some of the features of the application for this specific gimbal. This is silica gel, please don't eat it. It would be bad for you, trust me. This is a strap for your hand. This is normal when it comes to products such as these. We're gonna put this one right back in. And here, anti-mold packet. But the point is, you do have a whole lot of pockets here that you can use to store things. In this, there are two things. First of all, there's the optional fill light that comes with this one. And additionally, you also get a couple of fill light color changers. Essentially, you can change the temperature of the white light. We're gonna pop this open really quick so you can see what's inside. Red, and this is the fill light. Essentially what you do is simply plunk them over. They are magnetic. That's all you need to do. And you have a whole bunch of colors as well. Orange, yellow, and of course the red one. Next up over here you have a little tripod system, 1/4 inch adapter by the looks of it. Rubber on the bottom, which is important for the actual stability. Solid as a rock, no problem whatsoever there. Next up, you got a cable included. This looks like an USB to USB-C. Nothing all that fantastic or special, but it's gonna get the job done. And the length looks to be about a meter and a half. And this is the gimbal itself and nothing else inside the packaging. It feels pretty damn good. Now you do have it protected. This is your joystick. Feels very nice. Very smooth. This is your clamp. Branding over here.
This will be your scroll. I gotta say, it feels pretty damn good. This will be your trigger. These are your lock buttons. Unlocked and locked. Same thing here. Unlocked and locked. On the top is where you can mount the additional fill light. 5S on branding on the side. 1/4 inch adapter here. So essentially what you can do is take your base, you can either screw it into the bottom, like so. Open it up. Put it on the table like so. Or what you can do and essentially hold it like this. Now what you need to understand is, see at the bottom these little things right here. You see, this is how they lock. Essentially, see that, and that's it, that's the lock essentially. Yes, and this one has the exact same system. Look at that system, locked in and unlocked.
Another key piece of information that you should know is this one is a tad on the heavy side, and that's mainly because of the 2600 milliamp battery. So wielding this one for a long period of time can get a little bit on the tiring side, depending on the user, of course. Now that 2600 milliamp battery definitely has its advantages, and we're gonna get into that, but you should know that this review is from an Android user's perspective. I'm essentially going to be using strictly with Android, so we're going to be talking about the app, its functionality or the lack of functionality, and how everything works within the Android ecosystem. So all the information you're about to hear comes from an Android user's perspective. Not only that, I'm also a big noob when it comes to filmmaking gear like this, gimbals, and all sorts of gear, so I feel I can give you a unique point of view from the perspective of a total noob. That said, this one is a bit on the heavy side, 625 grams. And 625 grams can get a little bit tiring depending on how long you want to use it. For example, I was filming my baby daughter go up and down the swings in a water slide for about half an hour, and my arms kind of got tired by the end. However, that weight is not for naught. You got a 2600 milliamp internal battery, and that battery can be used not only for the 24-hour operation of this gimbal, but also for charging your device at the same time. You can charge it using the internal battery, however, this short cable is not included. What I'm using right now is a wireless microphone transmitter, which allows me to use this short cable, which I bought separately. So ideally what you want for this one to make it work properly is a angled cable, a 90-degree angled cable that you can find off of Amazon. Ideally nothing longer than 20 centimeters and ideally angled on both sides. But you can make a solution such as this work, and it's gonna be charging slowly, granted, via the internal battery of the Smooth 5S. But before I get ahead of myself, let's mount the device. And the easiest way is to simply use the included tripod. You can also mount it on the side as I showed you in the unboxing, but normally we're just gonna be screwing it into the bottom. Please don't over screw things, because you're gonna mess with the threads, and that's definitely not idea. You open up like so, and you lay it down on a flat surface. It's gonna provide a pretty stable experience. There's no rattle whatsoever, even if I'm gonna be hitting my disc, and I will. That's totally fine, so you don't need to worry about the actual stability of the gimbal. Next up, let's get a phone. We're gonna be getting this phone, and we're gonna try to plump on top of it. First thing you gotta do, you gotta unlock the motors. Now, as I showed you, you got little unlock hinges, I wanna say. I don't know in time how well these will hold up. They're essentially friction based. It's nothing magnetic, it's nothing too fancy like a button, but two of them are friction based. On the top part, can you hear that? That's the sound it makes when you unlock it, like so. You got another one in the same style right over here. And the final one, which I feel is a bit more secure, is this little lock button right here. And now the gimbal is unlocked. The 3-axis can move on their own. Now you should really pay attention to the actual instructions. You gotta see this portion right here, and then we're gonna be balancing out, but after we plump a phone on top of it. Now you can do it in landscape mode. or you can do it in portrait mode. I always film in landscape mode, but if you want to do something for like TikTok or YouTube Shorts or whatever else, you can use the other mode as well. And make sure that the phone actually makes contact like so with the bottom portion right here. So the two must touch. Now we gotta balance it out, and you probably already saw this in a million vids. You gotta make sure that this side is facing you and all the text is upright. So we're gonna turn this. I'm not sure what this says exactly. Maybe Zhiyun, maybe 5S, and then we're gonna be unlocking this axis by unscrewing this little knob right here. So essentially, I want it to kind of balance by itself. So you see how it's going off to the side? I'm gonna push it in a little too much, bring it back a little. A bit more, perfect, that's it. And then I'm gonna screw it back down. Again, don't over tighten these things because you're still gonna play around with these controls a whole lot. So if you're gonna over tighten things, you're gonna wear them out in time. So bear that one in mind. Now the bottom part, this part, I gotta move this part right here until I can get it perfectly level like so. But right now it's going to the back. So therefore, I will move it to the front. Almost, huh? Almost. Perfect there. That's it. And my gimbal is somewhat balanced. Again, it doesn't need to be perfect per se. It just needs to be good enough. And as long as it stands like this, then I can finally turn it on. Do not turn on your gimbal without properly balancing the phone on it first. You will ruin the motors. Now we're gonna be turning on the gimbal with this button right here, the on button. You gotta hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. And the gimbal, ta-da, magically turns on, and now it's gonna be automatically balancing my phone. Now the default mode is pan follow. You have several modes that you can switch with the mode button right here. My favorite one, and the one I recommend from a total noob's perspective, the one that I felt I got the best results with, at least initially, especially while following my baby daughter around, is the mode called F or follow. Essentially in follow mode, it follows the X and Y axis. It doesn't do anything on the diagonal because that's a little bit jarring. If you ever saw movies that go around on the diagonal, it creates this, I don't know how to better describe the jarring effect, but like this, I can go left and right and up and down, and the gimbal will follow. If the motors are not fast enough for you, hold the trigger down, and it's gonna be going into this action mode or sports mode. And now the motors react a whole lot faster. But keep in mind, you are filming and the motors are moving faster, so therefore it's gonna create that jarring effect a whole lot more intensely. So if you can use it normally and plan out your moves, that would be ideal, at least from my limited experience. So now the gimbal is totally functional. You're gonna say, dude, look at all those fantastic buttons you got on there. What do they do? Well, what do they do exactly? So the center one is a big light bulb. Guess what it does? Yeah, it turns on the light. You gotta keep it pressed down and the light will be turning on. Now, if you use this little wheel that you can scroll left and right, the intensity of the light, we can go up and down depending on the situation. Don't overdo it with the light, simply adjust it depending on the scene. Now, if I'm gonna get, this should be pretty cool. We're gonna mount this on top of it and it's gonna turn on immediately because all of the lights will be controlled by the exact same mechanism. And if you want to turn it off, you keep it pressed down 3 seconds as well. Now normally these buttons have a lot more functions. For example, this giant scroll wheel on the side. This you use to zoom in and out in the special applications that the manufacturer provides for this gimbal. Unfortunately, when it comes to Android, those applications are extremely limited. They don't allow you to film in 4K 60, for example, almost no matter what Android phone you use. They are a lot more functional, I want to say, with Apple devices, but I don't use an Apple device. So using those apps from an Android user's perspective was pretty terrible. And if you take a look on the Google Play Store, those apps have under 2 stars rating. Yes, the ZY Cami app has like 1.9 at the time of recording. I'm afraid those apps are not, they feel a little bit abandoned when it comes to the Android experience. I'm not sure how it is for Apple users. I saw they are a lot more functional, so I would expect Apple users to be a bit more pleased, but for me, definitely not. And it's a crying shame because I don't get to use all of these fantastic toys. I wound up having to use the default camera app on the phone simply because that one allowed me to catch 4K 60 FPS or even 8K. Something that the ZY Cami app or the Pro version of that app, because you have 2 of them to make things even more complicated, did not allow me to do. So that's a bit of a bummer. If you get over that fact, and if you understand that you're going to be creating your own shots anyway, and the follow mode is really all you need, then you're not really going to mind it all that much. The one problem I realistically have is the fact that I can't use this glorious zoom wheel, because it would make for some really fantastic shots. If I'm going to be using the default app on my Samsung S23 at least, then I simply got to do it manually, which is definitely not what you want. So there is that to bear in mind. Another issue I had with the gimbal was the fact that it was crooked. Unfortunately, the roll on this one was a little bit off to the side, and there was no setting that I could make directly from the gimbal or from the ZY Cami app or from the professional app for this one to actually help with this issue. Because you see, while you can control a whole lot of the gimbal's position and it does have an auto calibration feature, that one did nothing. What I had to do is Google. I found a thread over on Reddit that indicated that Zhiyun has a calibration tool that you need to download separately, and using that tool, after a whole lot of hassle, after a whole lot of nerves, I managed to find a setting when you can control the actual roll, and I set it to minus 1.5 degrees, which fixed the issue, and now it's perfectly leveled. That should not happen on a product that costs 200 plus euro. I'm sorry, but the user experience, especially from an Android perspective, was absolutely terrible, and I don't understand how they can ship a product that is off crooked to the side. We're talking about a gimbal at the end of the day, so something like this is not really acceptable. That said, after I got past the learning curve, fixed its tilt issue, and managed to play around with it a bit more, I gotta say I am pleased with the product. Again, my only gripe is the fact that I can't use all of these fancy buttons and the fancy features. For example, did you know that in the ZY Cami app you can use an auto track feature for this one? You simply draw a circle or a square around the target, and the gimbal automatically locks onto the target and keeps filming at 1080p 30 FPS. No, in 2023 that is simply not good enough, and I want to see the developer, I want to see the manufacturer actually work on the Android app to make it a whole lot more usable, so it encompasses a whole lot more of our needs. I want to see 4K 60, 8K in there, essentially all the options that I have in my normal camera app. I want them to be in the ZY Cami app or in the professional version as well, either of the two. And ideally, instead of 15 applications, a single application for the user experience would be perfect. And that's pretty much it. All in all, if you take away the software experience, which is terrible, and honestly in 2023 I do not understand how Zhiyun can completely ignore that application and let it essentially decay. The only good thing about it was the fact that as soon as I connected my phone, which took a couple of tries, and I had to reset the Bluetooth, which by the way you need to press FN 5 times to reset the Bluetooth in case you're having trouble connecting it via Bluetooth to the app. After I managed to do that, it got a little pop-up that said, hey, your firmware is ready, please click here to install. That worked fine, but outside of that, it's pretty clear that this developer, at least at the current time, does not care about the Android space, which is a crying shame, because this, my friends, is an absolutely amazing product. It feels premium, it acts premium. When it works amazingly well. It's got a couple of flexibility options that other gimbals around this price point do not encompass, and it's just a shame to not be able to take full advantage of those amazing features. And I do believe, my friends, that is pretty much it. I do recommend the product for Apple users, but I do not recommend the product for Android users, not until Zhiyun actually takes some time and fixes their applications and the functionalities we simply can't enjoy at this time. As always, my name is TechZar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, let me know in the comment section down below. Share with us some of your experience with this amazing product, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, and subscribe for more tech stuff. Bye.